Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It depends upon when you're listening. Welcome to The Solution. Nothing changes if we change nothing. And we are so happy to see you. We're still on a very sobering but important topic. This is a hard one. We're doing a series. This is the second week of this, and we're just really happy to be back, though, and to be able to share it. How you doing today, Chevar?
I'm doing good. The sun is out. It's still, we're in spring. Last time was spring. It's still spring, so the sun is still out, and I'm extremely happy. The weather is beautiful. But to your point about the conversation, this is important, and I want to continue the conversation. I want to talk to people. I want people to share their stories. I want because last episode it was there's a lot of eye-opening information there. People started to share stories, but it was more of a one-on-one opposed to hey, here, this is what's going on. Although we did end it with the question of what are people thinking and saying outside. So, but it was good. I mean, I'm looking forward to this episode too, But outside of that, what else is going on in life?
Oh, just the usual stuff, racing through the week as we do. We're so busy, but I can't complain because we're doing such passionate, driven kind of work. And I'm just so excited. We have all these new coalitions, and they're more diverse, and we're seeing communities we've worked with for many years that had a need, being able to start a coalition. The work pays off, and I remind people of that. We got a couple of coalitions starting of groups that we've worked with for a long time, and it's finally coming to fruition. So my message here for me is never give up. If you've got a passion for something, if you know it's important, you keep doing it because it is going to pay off. There's going to be a way that it happens. But this has been my conversation with my friends all day today, how the universe provides and has our back. And I do believe that.
It's funny that you said that. For those who don't know, I love arts in different fashion, whether it's music, poetry, visual arts. I'm actually going to write a poem called The Universe Loves You. And I am going to finish. I actually started it. And it was using metaphors about how you, the individual, is the earth, and everything around you is the universe. How it interacts with you, and you're right. The universe is there for you, and it's like the universe does love you. As hard as the universe treats you, there's something out there, and like there is a Milky Way, there is a galaxy out there for you. There is something. It's just how do we find that spaceship to get there, And then I'm gonna write that. Maybe I'll share that, and maybe I'll open up our show with it, or I'll put it in our newsletter, or I'll share it on our social media. But I'm gonna write that. But it's like I just think it's important for people to understand the differences of how we communicate with the universe, our world, or our beliefs. And the reason I say universe is I know everyone has different beliefs. We all believe in the universe. And I think that's the one thing that ties us together is what is out there for us. And with these conversations that we're having, we're going to continue to have, it's like, what is the universe bringing to you, and what do you want to get from it, and what do you want to give back to it, and that's the important part. Like giving back to the universe also is important.
Was it low? No, I totally get that. And we never know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm in 12-step recovery, and one of the things we say is don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle. But there's so much trying to drag us down and make us want to give up, and it's easy. I mean, it's like, I'm not saying it's that easy to be able to overcome that, because there's so many challenges in life today. It's not easy. It's hard. It's really hard, but
I like that saying, don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle. Yeah. Have patience.
You don't know what's going to happen in 5 minutes or 10 or 5 days or 10 days.
We don't. 5 years, 5 seconds. You don't know. You don't know. And that's the gift and the curse of life by the universe. Of our being. You don't know. Like the curse is you don't know, and the gift is you don't know, because something great might be around the corner for you.
Yeah.
And you don't know. If you just patience, people. Patience. Like that's the guiding light. Patience, man. Like that's something that I had to learn. That's something that I teach my children. I talk to my friends about. Like whenever Whenever my friends and I we get into a disagreement, and I just remind them that in the chat, and it's playful disagreements. I'll write peace and love, and then whenever it happens, they'll respond back peace and love, because that's all we ask for. It's peace and love and patience for each other, and that, I'm laughing because it happened earlier, and then one of my friends wrote peace and love, and I was like, thank you.
Well, you are, that's you so much. You are like the deliverer or the purveyor of peace and love and positive energy. And, I love that about you.
I do my best. I mean, it's hard. And that's where we're talking about, the universe. It's hard, but sometimes you have to do it. Like, you have to do the hard things. You have to wake up and go to work.
Right.
You have to take your medication. You have to exercise. You have to eat well. You have to do certain things you may not want to do. And that's the hard part, though. But it's okay. It happens.
For me lately, it's been I have to be awakened a little after 5 every morning by my 13-and-a-half-year-old dog who just can't wait. But I do what I got to do. She's been there. She's given me so much, given us such love and loyalty. It's our turn to take care of her now. And she wakes me up early, but I've learned how to catch sleep at other times. And she's laying here right by me, and she's happy, and she's hanging in there. And we've got, as you know, I have a puppy who's a year old now too, who's playing away in her daycare. So
as long as both of them are happy, and as well as you and your wife are happy, that's all that matters. That's all that matters is you find happiness in wherever you are in life, And I know, I'm going to say it again, I know it's hard, but you have to find it. It's somewhere out there in the universe.
But I also have to acknowledge that it's not possible for everybody. And
that too. And that's why I said I know. And that's why I said I know it's hard. And I know that someone's listening or watching and saying, but it's not as easy. I know for a fact it's not easy, and I know for a fact that sometimes you can't find happiness. But try your best. I don't like the word try. Do your best to surround yourself with people or energy. And if you can't, the energy is going to come from me. Anyone who's listening to this and watching this, I am sending positive and healing energy in your direction. So the energy is coming from somewhere. Even if you don't know me, we never see each other, we never speak to each other. It is coming from me. So let it be known that Chevar C. Francis, I'm not going to tell you what the C stands for. Ronnie knows what it stands. But I don't care. Chevar Courtlandt Francis is coming from me to you. Okay? That's where the energy is coming from.
Nothing better than that. Once you got Chevar energy on you, it's with you for life. Very cool.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Ronnie.
I was going to say, maybe we'll let our guests in.
And you were reading my mind. We actually do that a lot, listeners, viewers. We know each other's thinking. So this is one of the easiest way to do a podcast or a show or any type of work. You have the person next to you or across to you who already has your thoughts in mind. And it's like, that's easy. So let's let him in. I'll let him in.
We're going to let him in? And again, this isn't our usual format where we don't tell you, but we're happy this is happening today. And we're just seeing our guests arrive. We'll give them a minute to kind of sign in and get connected. And as you know, we can keep talking forever too. Okay, and we've got one of our guests on camera. Hi, Chris. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. Do you prefer people calling you Christopher or Chris?
Christopher.
Hi, Christopher. Hi, Jesus.
I don't hear anybody. Hold on.
Okay, and we're recording. We're on air. Just so you know, and just Christopher, you want to introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do?
Yes, my name is Christopher Kelly. I'm the program coordinator of the Peer Alliance Recovery Center, both Parc, Bronx, and Parc, Queens. I'm also the program coordinator of a program that we use called CASN. It stands for Citywide Addiction Support Network.
Okay. Well, thank you for introducing yourself. Hey, Susie, you able to hear us now? Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jesus Hernandez. I'm a person in recovery. I'm also a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. Currently, I am a peer worker at the Peer Alliance Recovery Center here in the Bronx. and I'm also on the verge of getting my certification for veteran-supported recovery.
Oh, and we're from Samaritan Daytop Village. Sorry.
Okay. Well, thank you, and you'll be adding stuff as we go along. But and we're all part of CASN. We represent the prevention side of it, but we come to the realization a long time ago. But we're actually allowing it to come to fruition through this network that we all need to work together to really make things happen. We can't stay as silos anymore. To be honest, I never felt we should, but we've had to break through some pretty big barriers, and we're really getting there. So this is our second episode looking at the impact that xylazine is having on the communities that we see and we work with, and not just xylazine, but fentanyl as well. So we were hoping you'd share your experiences and your observations and your stories. So we're going to turn it over to you guys.
Jesus, you want to go first, or I'll go first?
No, you always finish strong, so I'll open up.
Okay.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Jesus Hernandez. So I understand that we're talking about xylazine. I'm not clinical, so honestly, I know about it. I know something about it in terms of the clinical aspect. But for me, I want to talk more about the effects it has in our community. I'm a boots on the ground kind of guy. I don't like to be in the office. I like to do outreach and try and help as many people as I can, whether it's picking up syringes and handing out sandwiches to handing out cookers and anything else that they need, wound kits. We really try to help them out as best as we can, meeting them where they're at, of course. In my experience, I started in the field about 2 years ago, and I'll never forget my first encounter in outreach here in the Bronx. And I walked up to a person, he had his back to me, and he turned around and he had a syringe sticking out of his forehead. And that was my introduction to the opioid pandemic here in the Bronx. It was definitely an eye-opening experience for me. Now, what I'm trying to do is to avoid people dying from xylazine. I know I can't be everywhere at one time, but I am able to train people in Narcan and have more soldiers out there trying to help save lives for people who are overdosing. Now, unfortunately, the Narcan doesn't work on the xylazine, right? And I'm hoping that they're coming up with something that's going to be able to reverse the effects of that overdose. But what the xylazine is doing, from what I've seen, is we're seeing people with sores on their arms that are pussy, and they start to scratch it. It gets irritated. It becomes infected, right? We hand out those wound kits to those people specifically because of the fact that at times it has to stay wet and at times it has to stay dry, right? Unfortunately, people, even with those side effects, they're still using it, and they know the effects of it. They know it'll kill them. It's just like fentanyl was when it came out. Now everything is fentanyl right now, and people are still taking it. They want the fentanyl now, right? Same thing with the xylazine. It's stronger. Everyone thinks they know how to control it. They know how to use it. And at the end of the day, it's taking people's lives left and right. My personal experience, a friend of mine that I know got a bag of dope that was strictly fentanyl and xylazine, and that person experienced these little brown, it was just one time that they had gotten that, and they experienced under the skin, when they did a physical, little black dots under the skin, which was, from what I was told, was the beginning of the effects of the xylazine in terms of like the skin deterioration and things like that. As much as I know right now we don't have anything to fight against this drug, we're still continuing to go out there and try to do the best that we can, keep people informed, handing out the pamphlets and the flyers, letting them know that it's out there, trying to encourage them to even go to like safe injection sites, anywhere that they know they're not going to get a bad batch. For me, the best I can do, like I said, is just to continue to be out there, inform people, try to help the people that I can. And, when new information arises and some sort of antidote, whatever comes up for this thing, that I'm hoping to get trained on that and educated so that we can save these lives as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Every time I hear the story of some of the people doing outreach, I'm blown away. And I'm so grateful that you're out there. And I know, I'm a person of long-term recovery, and I know it's hard. And we kind of have a different view even of it. But I'm just so grateful that you're out there doing this. And as we talk today, please feel free to share the things you feel that people need to know.
No, really quick before I go, and since I've just moved to Brooklyn recently and I got a network over there, since I've been in that network in the last 2 months, 4 people have died of overdoses in the rooms. So it's really, really bad out there.
Christopher, what's your take on all this?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Christopher once again. Thank you for inviting us. So I'll tell you quickly, I'm a person in recovery as well. I just hit 5 years and 4 months. And, you know, I've been around the rooms, Narcotics Anonymous. I've been around since 1998. And I've seen quite a few people relapse. People with 30 years down to 30 days, you know, end up thinking that they can go back out and just take one more. And back then, there was no xylazine, there was no fentanyl, and, you know, and there's no guarantee you're going to make it back. So, you know, before this, I was a chef for a long time. I worked for Royal Caribbean. I you know, that was what my main job was, and I could never get this whole part of, you know, surrendering to the process that I'm an addict and that I need help. Maybe it was self-esteem. I'm not 100% sure, but once I did decide to come into Samaritan Village, I changed my whole life around. I've been working with them for 5 years and 3 months, same distance that I've been clean. Like Jesus said, I'm a boots on the ground guy. I do not like to sit in an office. If you'll kill my spirit sitting in here, I need to be out. I need to be talking with participants. I need to be helping them, right? We leave no man behind. So some of the principles that were taught to myself in the rooms are same principles I bring when I'm doing outreach. Meet them where they're at. You know, I plant seeds. In Italian, we call it planting seeds. I plant the seed and I let them know, hey, you know, we're here if you need it. Same thing people have done, my predecessors have done for me. You know, running CASN has been a really eye-opening experience, noticing, you know, I'll tell you a little story about, you know, I run both centers. I'm in the Bronx a couple of days and then I'm in Jamaica, Queens. And we're at 149th Street and 3rd Avenue. So we're right at the hub of where everything happens. And, you know, being in Queens, I had met this guy while I was waiting for the train who was in a wheelchair. He had no legs. And he was still, you know, I had a conversation with him and I told him I didn't want anything. I didn't need anything. I was just there to help him. And he was telling me how much he loved xylazine. And I'm looking and I'm just baffled about how, you know, the position that he's in, and he's still, so it brought me back to the way I felt, you know, even though I'm using, I still enjoyed what I was doing, and I really didn't get the whole concept of, you know, there's a better way to live. You know, working for Samaritan has taught me so much. You know, it's a totally different thing than being in a kitchen setting. You know, and I believe 100% that this is my penance. I don't know. I think I'm supposed to be giving back. God has put me in a position where I'm able to help other people. And that's what I've been doing every single day. CASN goes into the most vulnerable of communities, hospitals, you know, parks. We're in Washington Square Park all the time. We go into churches, outreaches, harm reduction sites, precincts. Like, we go everywhere and we try and get them and connect them with services. You know, I've watched xylazine sort of like the way I watched ketamine. You know, I've watched it, and I'm a big social media person, and I watch all these YouTube channels, and I've seen, you know, the way it was started in Puerto Rico, and I see the way that it hit Philadelphia, and that, you know, I'm always constantly trying to hone my craft, I guess I can say, and know exactly what to say, and try and do the best I can to help them. You know, and then I felt so bad for this gentleman who was literally, you can tell that he had, you know, I don't know, being in recovery, you could just feel someone else's pain. You know, you know that experience about it. You know, you know the pain that you've gone through, and then when you get clean, you start looking at the other side of it when, working the steps or speaking to a therapist. She gives me the insight of looking how my family has seen me and how other people seen me. And, we also go into shelters, and we try and connect them, and I love to sit and talk with you. That's why I haven't been, I haven't taken a CASN yet, right? Because I like to take you for a cup of coffee, and I like to sit down, and I like to conversate with you about where you're at and where you feel that you can't get to, right? And Jesus is on my team, and I supervise 4 other gentlemen, and it's a great experience. I have so much zeal to come to work, which is weird. My boss doesn't believe he thinks that maybe I should be on medication or something. But I look forward to coming to work because it's something that I know I'm really good at. I have a son who is a police officer, so my whole family is and pretty much NYPD going back from the 1800s. And some of them, have, they come home and they tell me stories about how narcotics and drugs were back then, and, growing up through the whole time of me actively using. And, I went to roll call with my son, and I was listening to how the police were saying, like, it was devastating, and they were giving me neighborhoods where it was highly hit with xylazine, and where they're seeing it the most, and it was Manhattan. It was definitely the Bronx, and it was getting really worse more in Queens. And so, it's difficult. Like Jesus said, I've been to places where I'm, letting them know about hope, right? The message is hope. We're letting them know that there is a better way to live, and that it is possible, because, I really didn't see that it was possible. I mean, we're talking about 30 years I was actively using. And it was just some of the people I knew what worked for me. I knew, like, what works for me now may not work for someone else. But the bottom line of the compassion and patience and understanding and tolerance and letting them know, hey, I'm here, right? So regardless of when you're ready or when you see that it's time, Samaritan Daytop Village and the Parc centers are vital to the community, vital to this whole epidemic. I will also work for Red Cross at night, and I work for FEMA as well. So, like, I'm everywhere, and I see what goes on. Even if fires at night, I'm in charge of the 5 boroughs, so I'm a response manager, and we're driving the fires, and we either seeing people in an apartment with drugs on the table, or we're helping a family who lost everything in a fire because they were doing something that they shouldn't have been doing. And I still have the compassion, and I still want to connect them with services. Listen, I don't care how you got here. We don't care, what boat or what ship you came on, or how you got here, or what. Just tell me where you want to go, right? Just tell us where you want to go, and we're going to assist you in that. And, I got so much passion for helping other people. I tell everybody knows me. I sleep from 12 to 5. That's it. That is it. I'm up at 5, and I'm already starting my day with connecting people with detox and rehab. And I end up going to bed at 12 o'clock. And I've noticed that xylazine has it's a whole new ball game now. With sitting there watching this gentleman, he was waiting for the dealer to come. And, he was pretty honest with me. And he told me it's pretty much killing him, and he knew it, right? And at the end, I didn't know that he had lost his legs because of the xylazine. And it took me for a look, because I take a look at the big picture and all that I have lost, not comparing myself to what this gentleman lost, but like I couldn't even fathom. But the desperation in his voice, like he knew that what he was doing, he shouldn't have been doing. And sometimes when you get down to the bottom of that pit and you feel, depression sets in, and all these things and all these thoughts, you start saying, I feel alone. I mean, I know people who are loved in the rooms, but come into a meeting and feel alone. That is, I couldn't even describe that, and in my own path, I felt the same way sometimes, and the reassurance of people telling me you're not alone and, we love you and you're worth it, right? And I'm also the vice president of the Samaritan Day Top Village alumni, and I try and bring the people who are coming out of treatment and connecting back into the community a better opportunity, a better chance, for them to connect with services and resources. There's a lot of services out there. There's a lot of resources out there. People they just don't know about it, so they don't fight for it. And that's where Jesus and I and the rest of the team comes in. The CASN team is amazing. I mean, there's 21 organizations, right? Recovery, we have Albert Aparte, who's upstairs, who works with Tiffany, who was on yesterday, and he's a part of the prevention team, right? The prevention team. We're the recovery team. The xylazine has taken over New York City, and I'm in roll call and I'm listening to some of the stories that they're saying. About one officer was saying that he couldn't even handcuff the guy. He had one arm. I mean, it's sad. It's really sad, and it's taken over to the point where the Bronx looks like The Walking Dead. It's gotten to that point, and it's kind of hard not to see it, as much as you try and look away for the fact that you deal with this all day long, and when you get home, you need some type of winding down. But like I said, I believe this is my penance. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. There's a saying which I tell everybody: if you don't heal what's hurting you, you're gonna bleed on people who didn't cut you. And I need to heal for myself. I need to pass that healing along to the next person. And I love what I do. I wouldn't change it. I'm here an hour early. I stay an hour late. It's like a meeting. But the xylazine as a whole is a game changer. Like I said, it's taking over Queens. It's definitely here in the Bronx, and I see it. We see sometimes I drive around the city with my son, in the patrol car, and I watch and I see what goes on, and it's sad. And a lot of the police officers, they just want to help. A lot of them want to help. They don't want the society, or they want it to turn the way that it's turning. But Samaritan and the Parc Centers and the whole CASN team, I mean, we must be doing a great job. They put a whole nother 2-year grant on us, so that we must be making a difference and an impact on New York City. And my boss tells me we've just been in the Bronx and Queens, but I'm in Brooklyn. Jesus knows we're in Brooklyn. We're in Staten Island. We're helping as many people as we can. We don't care where you live from. I think that somebody's geographical location shouldn't really determine how much more of services they should get. That's just my opinion. But other than that, Jesus and I are going to continue to keep pushing forward, help as many people as possible. Thank you.
And you're welcome. And your opinion is extremely important, and you said a lot. Actually, the both of you said a lot. And prior to you coming on, we were talking about something a little bit similar about the universe and how the universe loves you, and what you were saying about this love out there. There's people who do care about you who are out there. And I'm glad you kind of reiterated the message we said before you came, after you guys came on, because we were already having that conversation. So that means that message is real. We've never met. We've never met. This is our first time meeting, and we had similar messages about love and reminding people that they're human, and that's the important part. But I do have other questions about harm reduction, because Jesus mentioned this earlier about giving up pamphlets. And can you guys walk us through the education around harm reduction around xylazine? Like, what does that look like? Like, how do we support? How does anyone listening and or watching help or learn about? Because then the important part is the facts, the information. I know this. I know it's still new, but I'm pretty sure there's something out there. And how do we support? And like, what is that information you're giving to users or supporters of family members? Like, what is it out there that you guys are doing that we can also share on this platform?
Jesus?
I mean, well, what we have right now is that we have instructional pamphlets on xylazine that we hand out along with the rest of our packet of information. Again, like, I'm not a clinical guy. Like, I understand the basics of it, but for me, it's all about like meeting them where they're at in their harm reduction stage, right? So once we know that they're not gonna stop, right? We'll work with them, right? So we don't ask them to become abstinent either, even though that's the way Chris and I do our recovery. We don't enforce that on somebody else. So we'll, listen, you're doing 10 bags a day. How about we cut down to 8 bags a day? That's how we are when it comes to like harm reduction, not pushing anything on them, letting them make the decision on how they want to do their recovery, right? And for the participants that come in, we do a RAP plan, a wellness recovery action plan that also assists us in seeing where they're at and letting them set goals for themselves. Again, the information for me, I'm just a small peg in this whole process, but they give me tons of information via email, tons of flyers and other information, not to mention what I Google and I research on my own, just to get more information. That's just the way I do it. I don't know, Chris, you got anything?
Yeah, we stay connected with as many organizations as we can. I always use the metaphor that if I have my hand in 20 cookie jars, I'm bound to get 20 cookies. If I have my hand in one, I'm only going to bound, and I may not use, right? So we constantly are pushing and connecting and making referrals and doing other people's outreaches with them to get them connected. We have 2 harm reduction sites right here. We have one on 180th Street, and we have 126th and Parc Avenue. We attend and we connect with the participants inside the harm reduction site. We talk with them. We let them know, we're glad that you're here using, because 9 times out of 10, if you're with somebody and you overdose, they're going to walk away. And that's sad, right? Because they're going to be either panicky or scared that something might happen to them. So we're okay with you coming into the harm reduction site. We also, like I said, with Albert Aponte, we connect with Albert Aponte and we go out and he gives these little bags. We give food. He gives little bags with antiseptic first aid kits. He'll give, we also go out on every Thursday with another organization who gives out needles. They give out fresh water, right? So you can use. They give out. What else do they give out, Jesus? They give out clothing. During the pandemic, they were giving out masks and giving out socks, and we connect with them. And so they give them the supplies, and we connect them to the recovery center. And then the recovery center is a safe place where you could come. I mean, you can use here, right? However, you can be yourself here, right? You can let your guard down, and you could tell us exactly what you're going through. Because we try at Samaritan to get the staff well-rounded and a diverse staff. Like Jesus is a veteran. We have female. We have LGBTQ. We have people who went through harm reduction. And then also with the harm reduction, we have the Alumni Association has meetings every Wednesday and every other Saturday, where we have 13 of the 70 facilities that Samaritan has join in, and a lot of them are on Suboxone, a lot of them are on methadone, and we explain to them that it's okay, And then if their family wants to get involved, we have what we call a family association for Samaritan. We connect their family to the association, so when they come back out, it's a lot easier transition for them. I got people in my family who still don't talk to me, and maybe never will. And is that an excuse for me to use? I don't know, because I used when I stumped my toe. That was an excuse. But I don't today, because it's like I'm proving them right, that people can change. And people can change. And it's weird that you said that you guys were talking about that before, because Jesus and I and we stay connected, and we're always constantly talking about recovery and what's the next best thing that we could learn or do to help the next man, and we never stop. And I said, I always joke with my boss, and I tell her that I'm probably going to have a massive stroke at my desk that you put me at, and I tell her that because, I know that this is what I want to be doing for a long time, for the rest of my life.
Our boss does give us the opportunity to take self-wellness, so she doesn't beat us up.
Yeah, she does. She does. Oh, between Monday and Friday, we can't take self-wellness, but she lets us have Saturday and Sunday.
Wait a minute, I'm working this Saturday.
It's so important. That's something I learned in recovery, that I had to take care of me before I could, even love myself. At first, I had to let others love me, take care of me, and then I had to start taking care of me. Part of what I needed to do. And I do get it, that whole thing of wanting to give back. When I was in early recovery, I remember thinking, everybody needs this. Everybody needs to work the steps. Everybody needs a sponsor. Why isn't this like a human thing? It isn't just about, we all need to recover. So it's been such a gift for me. I celebrated 25 years in October, and
God bless. And people are always talking about character defects and things that we have, but they never really, Sis and I talk about self-inventory. Inventory every day about where we're at and what would be the next way to change something. Like 25 years, God bless.
Thank you. I never thought it would happen either. Never thought. I thought I was destined to use for the rest of my life. I'd gotten to that point. But we're all examples that it doesn't have to be that way. And I know you see a lot of stuff that it must be so hard, but what are the things that that you see, the lives that change? Like, what are some of the people like that you've seen turn it around? Because you see such devastation, so there's got to be something to balance that out, to let you see some, I don't want to call it success, but just somebody's light coming on and maybe their life turning around and becoming more healthy, and just, even if they don't get into recovery, we all have our own paths, and that's something I learned a long time ago. But what are some of those stories, the ones that light you up and let you keep doing this work?
We have what we call shining examples. So we have some people who were participants of the Parc Center 2 and 3 years ago that are staff members with us now. I always tell them, like in Narcotics Anonymous, they say, give us 90 days. If you don't like, we refund your misery. I pretty much tell them the same thing. Give us 60 or 90 days. If you don't see things getting better, right, and we'll go back to what you were doing. And a lot of them will say, I don't want to go back, right? So we say, okay, so how can we make it just a little bit better? And a lot of them are staff members now at a different facility or are still working with us. We had people come in who don't have a simple email, right, or don't have a phone. So the way that they look, that brightness, that, like you said, that bulb that goes off, when in 30 days they got a phone, they have an email, and they have hope, and they have prospects, coming around the horizon. They see the light, at the end of the tunnel. And it's an amazing feeling. We have so many people we can talk about when it comes to that. We have a staff member who's right now in Puerto Rico on vacation, who was a client, 2 years ago. Said she's never been on vacation before, never been back to her country, and she was working at a clothing store, making like $10 an hour. Now she's making so much money, she's able to help her mother. She's able to help other family members. She's bringing material home to some of our family members to get them to share in that experience, that amazing experience as well. That's the examples that push us or carry us over, right?
I mean, for me, I got hired in Samaritan Village and I was still in treatment. So I was like, I took the recovery coach training in a TC and I was hired and did my internship like maybe a week after I got out of the TC, and I've been with Samaritan ever since.
And I used to do wellness calls. Thank Zeus. During the pandemic, I used to call him up and say, we're just from Samaritan. I'm just calling to see how you're doing. And look, he's working with me. That's a success story right there.
Yeah, and I'm going to be the best man at his wedding too, so that's awesome. But you know what? One of the stories for me it was recently, and it was something I didn't expect. Because, Chris and I, we reach out and we help a lot of people. So many people, sometimes you forget who the people are that you helped, right? So I was taking a group of veterans on an outing over to the Intrepid one time, and I was sitting down, just, dabbling on my phone, and I started a conversation with a security guard about sports, Yankees and Mets and stuff like that. And then he goes, wait a minute, do you work at Samaritan Village? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, you don't remember me? And I'm like, I see so many people. He's like, I came to you to help me with a resume, and you helped me with a resume, and because of you, I'm working at this job as security, and I just wanted to thank you so much for helping me. He's like, what can I do? Do you want to go see this exhibit? I said, you know what you can do? Tell somebody else who needs a service like that to come see me, so that we can do the same thing for the next person coming up. That, to me, made me understand that at any given time, no matter where I'm at in the city, there might be somebody out there whose life I changed, who I'll come across, and it'll remind me that what I'm doing is the right thing,
I want to share something based on what you just said, Jesus. There's no instant gratitude in the work that you do, right? And none of the work that we do. But in Ronni get a test, we both run after school programs. We work with youth who are now adults. What happens is 5, 6, 7 years down the line, you work with so many people that one person, that 1, 2, 3, there's been a ton of them. They're gonna walk with you until you thank you, and that's where the gratitude comes in. That's when it's like you finally, because you might feel beat up and like, oh my God, why am I still doing this? And then you're in that Intrepid, and some random person walks up to you and tells you thank you because you made a difference in life, and that's the important part that people have to fully understand. Like the work that when you're doing service work, there's no instant gratitude, but the gratitude comes later on when you're just somewhere randomly and someone is over, they're watching you to protect you. And like that was a security guard. Look at that, protecting you. It's just like, yeah, hey, I'm here for you, just like you were here for me. And that's a blessing in the work that you guys are doing, and anyone who's doing any type of service work. Like, again, who's listening and watching, there's no instant gratitude. Wait 4 or 5 years, 6 years, maybe even 10. They will come back and say thank you. Trust me, they will. And they will appreciate you more. And it will see how Jesus is smiling? That's the smile that will come on your face. When you'll be confused at first. You'll be confused, like, who are you? You'll say that in your head, but you won't say that to them. But you'll have the biggest smile, and you'll remember, like, oh my God, I do remember you. And I'm pretty sure your response was, thank you for thanking me. And I know that's much.
That's what he helped me. He helped me that day because he gave me that second burst of energy I needed to walk around that Intrepid one more time. So that's great.
I'm having a conversation with my mother, and I was telling her the story about how I met Jesus. She calls him Jesus. I don't know. So she telling her how I met Jesus, and she's like, isn't there a lot of irony in life? And then she said, pretty soon, in 5 years, he'll be your boss. I said, Ma, let's not get, I want everybody to get, I want everybody to, but, we joke back and forth. That's what I love about the Parc Center. It's not, sometimes people all day are serious, right? We get that it's serious disease and but you need to laugh. Like, life shows up and the whole part, they think I'm a comedian here. Like all day I'm laughing and I'm joking and I'm getting people to see that life isn't that serious in the big scheme of things. We need to laugh and help at the same time.
We have people right now that are doing Zumba in one of our conference rooms.
Yeah.
No, he's just not able to do Zumba. She's in a chair doing Zumba. We meet people where they're at in all facets of their life,
Yeah, I would do Zumba, but I'm very fond of my hip.
And plus our floor doesn't have a solid foundation with you bouncing up and down. It's not safe.
No, man.
Just kidding. I love you, Chris.
No, you guys are great, and love your stories, and I love the smiles. I mean, I love, and the pain is also great, also because it adds gravity to what's going on. But we're about to wrap up, but we do have one final question. Question we ask all, I guess. So I want you to think back when you were that young tyke, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and when your teacher, your mom, dad, uncle, auntie, whoever had you, what do you want to do when you get older? Like, for instance, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a NASCAR driver, a firefighter. Didn't become either one, but that's what I wanted. Well, what did you, Chris or Jesus, what did you guys want to become when you were that young type? What were your aspirational jobs, or if you want to be a superhero? I don't know. Go for it.
Yeah, that's an amazing question, and I think that's the reason why I volunteer for the Red Cross, right? Because I'm around firemen, and that was but my story is different. I wanted to be a fireman up until I took the physical, and then I dropped the dummy out the ladder, and so I don't think I made that. I don't think I passed that test.
Story.
It might have been because I was drinking a couple of nights before. That might have been, or maybe the dummy was almost 300 and something pounds, stuffed with, I don't know, styrofoam or whatever he was stuffed with. But yeah, I wanted to be a fireman. I just wanted to help, right? I wasn't thinking about getting burned, and I wasn't thinking about the dangers of it. I was just thinking about that I took someone's family member out of a fire. And that's why I do what I do today. You never believe what you're really good at. You're always surrounded by it, and it's maybe in your subconscious, but it's there.
For me, like, I never thought about being a recovery coach, that's for sure. But, they told me that I like to talk a lot. I ran my mouth a lot. I got beat up for it a lot. But I also learned how to talk my way out of a lot of situations, which is why at one point I was a car salesman. But that's a whole other story. But for me, I always wanted to be a lawyer when I was a kid. I loved watching watching the shows with the lawyers up front and like getting people off and like catching them in lies and stuff like that. So for me, it was always wanting to be a lawyer. When I was younger, I wanted to be Spider-Man. I was trying to stick to the walls. I hurt myself, but
I think that's why during supervision he'll say, "Your Honor, I didn't mean to say that," and so it throws me off a little.
I would think it would. And just a side note, my dad was a fireman for 25 years in the Bronx. And, when I was a 4-year-old kid in the firehouse, and we'd climb up on the top of the hook and ladder and play and set off the siren and send everybody running. But I have such a love for fire fighters. And my dad was one of those klutzy firefighters and fell off the truck, got his finger caught in the ladder, things like that. But he spent 25 years doing some incredible work.
God bless him. You see people look at a fire truck driving by. They don't see how strenuous and how demanding it is, carrying, 80, 90 pounds of equipment, up 40 flights, with a hose in your hand. It's an amazing job.
Yeah, this was a lot of years ago before all of the equipment we see today. But we want to thank you both for coming. This conversation's going to continue. Well, we feel like we need to all work together to get these words out there, to get the message out there, and a message of hope. I mean, it's not just about, the terrible things that we see and the things that happen to people, but it's also that there is a pathway to hope. And what we will do is we're going to get your contact information. We'd like to put it in the summary for this episode. Are you both okay with that? And if you are,
put it in the chat now if you'd like.
Yes,
that'd be great. And this way people can contact you, because people are going to hear this, and there's going to be people out there, hopefully, who say, I need to get in touch with them. And, you get to touch more lives. So that would be great if you do it. Chevar, any other closing comments or questions? Chevar, I could see the smoke coming out of his ears.
No, I was trying to find, I was opening up my notes so I can add this information. But the stories that you guys share were great. Thank you guys. Hopefully, like Ronni said, we're going to continue this. We're going to continue this process of sharing information about xylazine, also known as Tranq. This is important. We've noticed there's trends that are going on outside in our neighborhoods, and some of them are very scary. Some of them are very, very scary, and we want to be able to support people. And with this information, it'll be helpful. But thank you guys again.
Thank you so much. Anytime.
Okay, we'll see you again next time. Chevar and I are going to stick around, closing out the show. But hopefully, when we get this out there, we'll circulate this information far and wide, and we'll see an impact happen.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Ronni.
All
All right. Have a happy Mother's Day, Ronnie. Okay. Take care.
Okay, I will. My furry kids will be very happy that we're going to celebrate.
I got one too.
Take care, everybody.
Take care, Chevar.
Nice to meet you both.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. More inspirational stuff.
Yeah, that was powerful. That was yeah. Wow, like the last episode. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I'm just getting blown away by all the stuff we're hearing. And, you know, we tend to focus so much on the devastation that we lose that message of hope that, you know, we were talking about. And the fact that people do get help, you know, among all the tragedies and the terrible things that are happening to people, there's hope out there. And working with CASN has been amazing. And we're seeing this network make such a difference. There are people out there. There are people who are willing to help and are there for you. So please, if you get to the end of your rope and you need some help, reach out. 20 hands will be reaching back. We know this, we see this, and we're going to make sure this information is on the description. And, you know, again, the other thing too is, please, if you've enjoyed this episode or you enjoy our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, because we're going to be bringing you a lot of information and we want to make sure that you have access to it immediately. But on that note, Chevar, I think it's our time to move on and do the rest of the work that's waiting for us with our coalitions. And basically, you know, you want to thank everybody for listening?
Of course. Thank you all. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for learning. And hopefully in the comments you could educate us also, because we want to learn too. This is the solution. Nothing changes. We change nothing.
We'll see you next time.